Hi, Harminder. I'm Abhishek. We spent some time together in the lead up to your admission process to the B schools across the world. Today, I want to kind of dig deep in terms of how your journey has been and give a perspective to future applicants in terms of how they can think about their choices, how they can orchestrate their journey. So, thank you so much for agreeing for this. It's a real pleasure to have you on board, and would definitely like to hear your story and learn as to how you went about the process.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Abhishek. And yes, the journey with you was very smooth. So I'll start from the beginning.
Yes,
Um,
fundamentally, we first want to understand uh, what your profile has been,
Mhm.
and maybe then we can kind of move forward in terms of how you went about the process.
Right. So I'm a computer science graduate. I completed my engineering from SRM University and I graduated with a BTech in CSC in 2018. And since then, I've been working as a software engineer. So I worked for 3 years in Chennai, in Zoho, as a full stack software dev, where I built enterprise softwares. And then I moved on to Oracle, where I've been working for the last 1.5 years. And here again, I'm a software engineer, where I develop applications for Oracle Cloud and internal Oracle tools as well. That is my profile in a nutshell.
What was
And
the GMAT score? I got to
uh,
ask you that, no?
yeah, it was, I applied with GRE.
Okay.
And yes, my score was in above 330.
Okay.
So yeah, there was that.
Okay. That's a good score.
And I had
So,
a TOEFL of 117. So
brilliant. Brilliant. That's on 120, right? Yeah.
yes.
So, which school did you apply to? I mean, that's the big one. And which all did you get calls from?
So I applied to 11 schools with you and one by my own. Applied to 12 in total. So
Mm.
in India, one was ISB. Then Europe, one was INSEAD, and the rest were in US. So Wharton, Columbia, Duke, Haas, Tuck, University of Michigan Ross, Tepper, Darden, and wait, there's so many I'm forgetting. There's Tepper, Darden. There is
So, Cornell Johnson, I remember.
Cornell, yeah, Cornell, and there's one more.
Anderson, was it? No.
Yeah, not Anderson. We applied to MIT. Your school, yes. There's that.
Handful. How could we
Right.
forget? And where were you successful?
So I got final admits from INSEAD,
Okay.
ISB, from Cornell, Tepper, Darden. Yeah, these 5 schools.
Not bad.
Yeah.
That's a great conversion percentage.
Yeah.
Um, and did you get some money from the schools in terms of scholarships as well?
Yes, I did. So ISB gave me 100% scholarship. INSEAD was 20%.
Mhm.
Um, Cornell was 60,000 for the 2 years. Like it wasn't a percentage, they said 30K per year.
Mhm.
Darden was 30% scholarship. And Tepper was 35% scholarship.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. So you were able to reduce the cost as well.
Yes.
So I'm sure you would have done a lot of things right for you to get some outcomes like these. Uh, so if you can kind of think through and think out aloud in terms of how you went about your preparation for these schools, and maybe you could split that into two phases.
Mhm.
One was like 6 months before you were ready to apply. So kind of bits and pieces which went into building your profile,
Mhm.
either at Zoho or at Oracle or even earlier while you were doing your engineering. And then later, closer to the point when you were preparing your story. So how did it go about? If you can give a high level view, and then we can then dig into specifics and see if there are key takeaways for us.
Okay, so when I was in college, let me start from college, right? I always had this notion that I want to do an MBA sometime later in my life. And I was like, I want to expand, I want to show in my resume and through my extracurriculars that I'm just not a techie. I have other skills. So I went about going and taking up leadership positions in clubs that were just starting off. So my logic behind this was, if you are in a club that is very new, right, in its very early stages, you get to take up more charge, you have more responsibility, you get to move into leadership positions faster, you have more thrown at you, and you have more to show in case you do succeed. And thankfully, in my case, my club became very successful in the time that I was there, and that really helped me put forward a lot of points in terms of, I did so and so, right? So that really helped me out. And other than that, I kept my CGPA up. So an essential tip for everyone, please make sure your acads are up to the mark. So I had a 9.428 at the end of my graduation. And I also was a scholarship holder. Again, because my academics in school were good. So just make sure acads are good, have fun, and enjoy,
That's a good
and
point.
do
It's
a
a
lot
very
of
good point.
extracurriculars. And then, other than that, you also need to show some kind of activity outside your work. So once you go into your working life, there will be some opportunities that companies have, like my company in Oracle have a very active diversity and inclusion uh, group. So I tried to be a part of their activities to again show that, I am really aware of what is happening, and I like to take charge, I like to be proactive. And all these kind of came onto my resume as someone who is just not, in one corner just writing code. I actually go out, I interact with people, I know how to work in teams outside of the boundaries of tech. And that's been my strategy. Try to portray myself as someone who is very good in a team environment and likes to work at things who are at a very beginning stage. That is all. I never went with a very particular strategy. I also like to do stuff because I really like talking to people, meeting new people, and I'm not a very techie person. I like to do a lot of extracurriculars. Even in Zoho, my previous company, I would often, like to do things that, like content writing, for example. I would just take it up because I liked writing. So I just found an avenue where my interests just matched and I went ahead. Any activity that you do, it counts, if it's outside your job description, it will add some kind of value to your resume. So I just went ahead and I did that.
So essentially what you're saying is that grab as many opportunities as come your way,
Yeah.
and you won't know which one would end up helping you out in your final reckoning.
Yes. Yeah. So the idea is, see, whatever you are there to do, right? If you're in school, if you're in college, maintain your acads well, and then go ahead, go bonkers, do whatever you like,
Yeah.
and then add as many valuable activities as you can to your resume. At work, I did the same. I made sure my work was up to the mark. I was meeting my deadlines and everything, and then went ahead and picked up more activities. So that just goes to show that you're good in your work, or whatever your main aim is in the institution you are at, and you are good at stuff outside of it. So I think that was what I was basically trying to portray, that I'm a jack of all trades
No, but
and
I
also
think you make
master
a
of
no, I'm sure not. Master of a lot of things. Probably we'll get into that nuance a bit later.
yeah.
But I think the key point that I'm hearing, and I have also experienced it with other applicants of mine and through my own journey,
Yeah.
is that your baseline should be top notch. Your
Yes.
baseline is non-negotiable. That baseline is academics when you are studying,
Yeah.
and the core work that you are doing. If you're a consultant, the consulting work. If you're a coder, then your coding work.
Yeah.
Sorry, that baseline is non-negotiable. And if
Yeah.
you do well there, then you have opportunities to do more stuff and build out other pieces of differentiation in your profile.
Exactly. I'll give you an instance. So because at Oracle, because my work was going really well and my managers were happy with the work that I was doing, they themselves offered me the chance to get involved in this initiative in our diversity and inclusion group. And if it were not for their support, I would not have been able to go there. And why did they trust me to go there? Is because they knew that I could handle my work well. So it really helps you that way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think one of the things that I face a lot in terms of challenges is when students come to me thinking about intent to apply for MBA programs and they say that, look, I've got a lower GPA, lower
Mm.
than expected GPA. There is no other mechanism available to me or to them to tide over that. I
Yeah.
mean, GMAT or GRE, for example, are achievement metrics, not necessarily merit metrics. And if that time is gone,
Mm.
then you've had it. You can't do much about it. And you'll have to live with that poor GPA or a poor professional outcome, and because that's not going to go away from your profile.
Yeah, it won't. So you need to get your basics right always. And if it happens, which it is quite entirely possible that your baseline, like your GPA or your work is up and down here and there, make sure you have some kind of a spike that compensates for it. So let's say you're a national level chess champion, if you are, then if you have an 8-point CGPA, then, it's understandable.
True.
So it's a balance that you have to manage. I didn't have any national level achievements in my pocket. So I
Mhm.
had to make sure that my GPA and my work was really good.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people kind of warm up to the idea of MBA closer to the point in time. I mean, they might have a nubile thought that, look, we'll do an MBA, but they don't necessarily prep for it or plan for it. It's closer to the point in time, like 5, 6 months, maybe 8, 9 months, that they
Mm.
start thinking about it actively and they start doing active work in prepping their story, in building out their storyline, telling their story and iterating it.
Mm.
So, how was that journey for you? Like, when did you kind of woke up to the reality? Look, I have to apply for an MBA now. And when
Mm.
did you actively start working for it? How did that journey look like? I know you spent a fair amount of time with me, and I have my own perspective on it, but I would like to hear from you as to how was it that you viewed it? What were the points of discomfort, if any? And what were the points where you were feeling hassle? Where would you get stuck? And so on and so forth.
Okay, so I'll answer the first question. So the thought of doing an MBA came in college and then it vanished after I started working. So 4 years into my work life, no thought of doing an MBA. And then one fine day, I woke up to the realization that, if I continue in this line, I am going to hit that glass ceiling, which often a lot of developers do. And that's when I decided that I want to move into a specific field like prod man or something. And I went and talked to my boss at the time, a very risky move, not recommended, but I was lucky. My boss told me in very candid terms. He said, listen, you're in a company where you have people who have graduate degrees from MIT, from Stanford. They have MBAs from there, and you'll be competing with them to move into top positions. You need to come from a similar background to be able to compete fairly with these people. And that's when I decided, that this is what I need to do to move forward. And in fact, he encouraged me. He said that go ahead if you think this is the right move for your career, research a bit more. And in the research, I came across you guys, and then I got in touch with you. So this was
This was
end of
when?
July.
July, end
Yeah,
of July. For
this
what?
was,
Round one applications, right?
I know. Yeah, I just, yes,
Yeah,
not
couple of
recommended again, but
yeah.
I did it. So it is possible. You
Mhm.
just need to, it's a set number of hours. You can put that over 6 months or you put that in 1 month. That's on your capacity. Okay. So if you want to really chill, relax, do this process over 3, 4 months, like a lot of people do, or
Mhm.
do it in 1 month, like I did. The number of hours don't reduce. So I contacted you probably in end of June, and then I didn't contact you at all. Then in end of July, I came to you seriously and I said, I am doing this.
Right,
And I
right.
didn't even have a GRE score at the time.
Mm.
So you said it's fine. Like you give me a number, hit this number in JRE, and you're hit this or above. You're golden after that. I worked hard. I gave my GRE in August. And once I had that score, did I start seriously prepping for the applications? We we shortlisted our schools in probably one day,
Mm.
and we started our application process, and we wrote everything about my life in probably 3-4 days. And then we started on actually working on the essays
Mm.
and
How much time that took?
writing the essays.
Yeah.
So I remember I did my NCR application in 24 hours, start to finish.
Really?
And,
And
and
Was
what
it
in,
was it done to your satisfaction levels? I mean, in terms, of course, you got the outcome,
yeah.
but was it done to the satisfaction level?
See, that is something that I had a misconception of. I thought applications need to be solid, like without any up and down here. It's not like that. It will never reach a satisfaction level till it's in your hands.
Mhm.
Right. So at the time I was like, I don't know if this is good enough, but of course you said it's not, it is what it is. We've done the best, trust the process, trust yourself. So I
Mhm.
submitted the application. So at the time I was like, okay, this is good enough. But then, even if I sit with it for 10 hours, I'll only improve it maybe 2%, right? And it's not worth it, right? You already have 98% of the application in place. Go ahead with it. So I trusted, I took a, leap of faith, and I submitted my application. So that is how it went.
Okay.
And the whole process of application was really easy because we wrote a lot beforehand. We wrote a lot about my life, about every single experience I had.
Mhm.
And I could pick up instances and highlights from there and just translate it into my essays.
Mhm.
So because we did a lot of work beforehand, it made the application process very easy. And I was like, isse zyada I can't do anything. This is what it is. I can't manufacture stuff and put it in my essays. So
Mhm.
we just rolled with it.
And did the story seem honest to you? What you presented to
Yes,
INSEAD or any other school? Did it
it
seem?
did. It did very, very, very honest, because it was everything I had done, and we just put it very authentically. Like,
Mhm.
we spoke about my childhood, how I moved around a lot because of my dad's job. Then we spoke about all the initiatives I took as part of the club.
Mhm.
Because my club was new, I could take a lot of initiatives, right?
True.
And then we spoke about the DNI thing that I had at Oracle. Everything was very authentic, and it was quite easy for me to then talk about it in interviews,
True.
because I didn't really put forward anything that was fake. I didn't have to prep a lot for my interviews. I was very relaxed during it, very natural during it.
That sounds. But let's dig a little bit deeper in terms of what the storytelling process is like.
Yeah.
So let's say there is a person who wants to write, let's say, NCR application.
Yeah.
How do you think he or she should go about it? Number
Mhm.
one, I mean, is it important to have a mentor or a counselor to
Mhm.
guide you? I mean, do you think it was very, very helpful? And try to think of it from the perspective of someone who has got his profile built and he or she wants to churn out an application in, let's say, 2 to 3 months. Do you
Mhm.
think a mentor really adds value? And if so, what kind of value does that mentor would add to the process?
So that depends a lot on the kind of person you are, the applicant, right? If you're someone who can do stuff everybody can do things by themselves. It's
True.
like when the clock is on, right? When you're super under pressure, how well do you perform? Do you
Mhm.
have the clarity of thought? Or do you go online and you get swayed by a lot of public opinion and online templates and you just go with that flow, right? That
Mhm.
clarity of thought, if you can maintain under pressure, then you're good. You can manage on your own.
Absolutely.
On the other hand, I knew that somewhere I would not be able to do that, or I didn't want to risk it. So if it's someone like me, then a mentor is a godsend. Okay, like I can't put it any other way. Um, like I was telling you about my INSEAD app, right? It was done. And if it had been just me, if I did not have a mentor like you, I would have been sitting on it and been like, oh, this word is not right. Let me change the structure of the sentence. That's not going to help you. The structure of the sentence, no matter how many times it's changed, it'll convey the same information. You need someone over there to have that foresight and to have that experience to tell you that, this is what it is. This is good enough. Go ahead with it. You also need someone to be able to find highlights, to go through your profile and find out highlights that are important that B schools look for. Unless you already have that experience or that information, or you have someone else guiding you. If you don't, then please, mentor obviously really, really helps. They will find out points which are important. They'll be able to tell you ways that you can present the same experiences, but in a better way. Structure out your essays that help you convey your points a bit better. And that helps a lot. It helped me, and it helps a lot of people a lot in the same way.
It's not fashionable, not just fashionable to have a mentor, but really is useful. Uh, Diving a little deeper into the process, again, remember the intent is to help out a prospective applicant. You said that you did a lot of pre-work and pre-writing. Um, Say a little bit more about it, and how did it really help you in terms of coming to the nub of your story?
Um, so basically, I had a lot of experiences that I've had in my life, right?
Mhm.
But they're all scattered. You need to find a sort of a theme
Yeah,
through them.
common thread, so as to say.
Yeah, a common thread. And you will then use them as strengths in your profile that you're trying to convey.
Mm.
So, for example, in my profile, mentorship was a big strength that we tried to convey. So you helped me through the work that we put in, where I just listed all experiences, every crazy story I had, or every extracurricular I had done. You read through all of that, and you helped, put together themes that we further used in our essays. So the so the work that we did was essentially just putting down stuff in a random fashion, going through it, and then churning it out into streamlining it into proper themes. So
Yeah,
that,
so kind of brainstorm together to identify what are the common elements of a plausible storyline.
yeah.
Okay, so for example, let's stick with mentorship, which you wanted to convey in your essays.
Hmm.
And I remember that we drew from your experiences of running the club that you did at your college, because it was an early experience. The club was new. You were able to have a leadership position and mentor a lot of people. We also talked about, if I remember correctly, the fact that you moved from different places because of your dad's army career, and therefore you had exposure to different cultures, different people. And we also probably talked about some recent leadership experiences that you've had in your firm of supporting teams and drawing them out to deliver above and beyond for your client. So is that what you're trying to talk about, that when you could see these things coming out in different parts and different personas of yours, you could see that common element, and that became a natural go-to story or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what. So that's exactly what we did. We saw these experiences and we were like, hey, this is one characteristic of your personality which is common across
Mhm.
all of these. And we just ended up using it as a story.
And I'm presuming when you heard it from someone else, it
Mhm.
resounded better in your head.
It
You
did.
said that, look, it makes sense. Hey, this is me,
Mm.
and I got to do this. So it probably became, and I'm trying to get into your head here, but not really. But it probably, I suppose, would become an intuitive response saying that, look, this is who I am. And the story kind of then naturally flew.
Yeah. Mentorship was not something I associated myself with ever. I
Mhm.
had, after we spoke and, you pointed this out, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This is something that comes naturally to me, and I've exhibited that through many, many years, like in college and then at work. If you continuously keep doing activities that underline the same personality trait, then that's a very strong point in your story. That's a point that is meant to be conveyed. And you need someone to look at things objectively from an outside perspective and tell you, because in an applicant's mind, there'll be 10,000 things going on with the pressure of deadlines. So having someone be able to actually analyze properly and tell you things, that was super important, at least for me. And it is quite beneficial in general for your storyline.
So I presume that there were advantages over and beyond your application. This
Of course.
mentorship would and should continue in your NCR journey and whichever school you go to, really, uh, or your journey onwards beyond that.
Yes.
Okay. So once you were able to identify these key themes of your narrative, how fast? And what I heard from you was that story writing or essay writing was very, very quick after that. Say a little bit more about it. I mean, how important is language? How important is syntax? How important is presentation? And why was it fast? I mean, why do you think you could have done a 2% improvement if you would have iterated it one more time? I mean, what made that process go about so quickly? And what made you so confident, look, this is a good outcome that I'm ready to submit?
So like I said, we did a lot of pre-work, right? And we found out those themes. So because I was so confident that these resonate with me, I was confident that my essays will come out well. So what I did was I wrote a lot. I don't know how much other people write, but I wrote pages and pages of stuff. And what I would do is I would just copy a paragraph. I would just paste it in my essay, like chunks of paragraphs, stuff that I want to convey. And then I would change the language a bit to weave it together to answer the question. So if you go like that, right, you have these building blocks that are already in place, then you just use language to connect them.
True.
At least that is how I went. And then Grammarly is always there to help you. So you just
and
put
ChatGPT now.
yeah, ChatGPT, I guess. Yeah. So you put in, make sure you don't have any typos, and yeah, your essay is there. Then you send it. I sent it to you to have a read and tell me if you found it good enough. And yeah, once that was done, I was like, great. Iske alawa, I can't add anything here. That's all. This is it.
Yeah.
The max I could have done is use more flowery language, which I didn't. My essays were written with very simple language, stuff that you use on emails. I didn't use difficult to pronounce words, or I didn't have to look up synonyms or something to use fancier words or something. No, I just use normal language that I knew, and I just put that in my essays. I did not try to make the structure very unique. I tried to answer the question in the best way possible. And I realized that, they're just looking for, so it's not a language course that you're applying for, right? Or a literary course that you're applying for. It's an MBA. They want to know information about you. The way you present it should be decent enough to show that, thoda bahut aata hai bolna, padhna, likhna. But the point is that you need to be able to tell them stuff about your life without overcomplicating it. The mantra here is keep it simple. Find building blocks from all the narrative that you write, put it, weave it together, make sure no typos, and submit it. There's nothing more you will add into your essays. And that is what I went with.
No, very, very well put. I think this is said very succinctly and in a very nice manner. Identifying those building blocks and conveying them in a simple manner. And this is what I like about you, Harminder. I remember that the examples that you give are immediately resonant. For example, you said that the language should be as simple as you write an email.
Yeah.
So that makes it immediately relatable. So I think thank you so much for the insight. This is helpful. So you're saying that flowery language is probably a strict no. It doesn't really.
No. See, for me, it didn't make sense, okay? Because one, I don't know flowery language. I know normal English.
Right.
That is my strength. So I just played on that. Now, if you're someone who's done an English honors and you're applying for MBA, by all means, go Shakespeare on your essays. But I can't. So I just didn't. Because if I do that, I will end up making mistakes that I won't be able to recognize. So if you are trying to be someone that can somehow be your weakness, don't do it. Play on your strengths.
Yeah.
So if you're, like I said, like if your background is in language, then yes, using flowery language can be your strength. But again, an MBA program is looking for your experiences. That flowery language may like remain with them for 5-10 minutes after they review your application, but that's the only advantage you will get, nothing beyond that.
True, true. I get what you're saying. And
Yeah.
how sacrosanct are the word limits? Did you exceed in any of the cases? Were you short of the word limit target? How did you view the word limit as?
I never paid much attention to it. So I just saw, okay, 500 words. Okay, I have these building blocks. I will chuck it down. Okay. And I used all online tools I could to shorten sentences.
Mm.
And yes, I never exceeded my word limit. Never exceed your word limit. You don't know, schools can put a filter to immediately filter out applications that have exceeded word limit. And you don't want to exceed that. I mean, why? You have put in so much effort because of a couple of words. Why do you want to chuck your application away? Don't do that. That's fine.
And with a 500 word essay, have you ever answered it with a, let's say, a 200 word response or something like that?
No, I didn't have that luxury. I had a lot of material I wanted to convey. And yeah, I was always a little above, like I would always be 530 or 550, and then I would try to shorten it. So I would be at 498 or 499 while submitting my essays.
Okay.
100 words would be like you didn't put an effort in your application, because if you are someone who's applying for an MBA, then you must have at least 2 years of experience, right? And at least a 4-year undergraduate degree. How can you not have at least 500 words to say in your essay? It is impossible. So please, like, put something there, give them something to work with. Otherwise, like, why are you submitting an application, right, at the end of the day?
What was their strategy for optional additional information question? Did you respond to them? Did you not respond to them?
No, anything optional, I was like, no, don't have time for that. So I did bare minimum in the application process.
No, fair enough. I think this is making a lot of sense. Just briefly on the subject of interviews, once you've submitted your application, is usually a period of anxiety when you're waiting for results. So, but once they started coming in, how did you prep for your interview? How extensive, how intensive and extensive your preparation was? What kind of tools did you use? How did you go about it? What kind of readiness activities did you commit to? And eventually, what was the entire journey like?
So for interviews, I had a similar prep strategy. Again, building blocks and then go about it. So most interviews will always ask you, why are you doing an MBA? Have that concept straight in your head, right? Why that school? Again, go through the school website and have that answer ready with you. Pick up 2 or 3 things of the school that really complement your goals, MBA goals. So if you're saying that I want to go into tech, then the school's location in Silicon Valley could be a huge advantage to your goals. So try to find out stuff about the school that, matches with you. So obviously prep for that answer, why this school? And then why MBA now is also a very favorite question of a lot of people. I wasn't asked that a lot, but I was asked that in 2 interviews, I believe. So have that in place. Once you have these 3 things in place, everything else you can't control. So for that, just make sure that you know what you have written in your essays and don't say stuff that directly contradicts your application, because most of the interviewers have your application in front of them. And if you lie or anything, if there's a mismatch, you're immediately, it reflects very badly, right? So have that in place. How did I prep? 1 hour of prep for each school. Again, I would advise people to please change this timing according to your liking. Mine was half an hour for the application and half an hour for website. And that's all I did for each interview. And before the interview, do not look up people on LinkedIn. It will get into your head. That's one very important advice. Be very calm, be very friendly. Those people are looking for casual conversations, not like the kind you have with your friends, casual in the sense in a business setting, right? Just maintain that. be friendly, be clear. And that's all I did. And do not look up anything online. It will distract you. There are templates online. You don't need to follow any templates. Have a free flowing conversation. And that is all they're looking for. And make sure you end the interview on a smile. If everything is going good and everything happens well, then you're good. You're good to go. You can't control anything else. So let it go. Do your best. That's all.
It feels so heartening to listen to you. I remember when we initially had those conversations, you were a bundle of nerves, at least to begin with.
In the
But I
beginning,
knew,
yeah.
but I knew you had that kind of potential, that kind of energy. And once you reached your normal jovial form, you aced everything. Yeah, I think being spontaneous is a very, very
Yeah.
big virtue.
Yeah.
And a lot of time in my experience, applicants overlook this. You cram so many words and so many terminologies, so many profiles, so many to-dos in your head that your natural self kind of gets subdued, and that plays against you at times. So I think what you did was well. And
It was
that's,
your advice. You told me
yeah.
don't over prep, just go with the flow. So I went with it.
Harminder, because I see that, a lot of good students struggle with preparation. They think, and I would probably as well, if I would be at that stage, that preparation hold the key
Mm.
to success. But the preparation has already happened, right? In the lead up to the interview, and when you're writing your essays, you just need to be in the right mindset. And when you're doing that, I think the outcome follows.
That's what, and I'll give you one. I mean, I'll give one example. So,
Mhm.
for example, when I was saying about complementing your goals with, the school's unique points. So, when I was applying for Haas,
Mhm.
I mentioned location as a big advantage for me coming to Haas, and the interviewer then knows that you've done your research. So the thing that they're trying to look in interviews is that one, obviously you didn't make up stuff in your application. So that you need to be ready for that. Two, you know about the school. You're just not randomly applying for schools, right? So if you pick up these unique elements and show that this school really is a great fit for you, it reflects very nicely on you, right? And for example, for when I was interviewing for INSEAD, location was not one thing I mentioned, that the location will really help me land PM roles. No, I just mentioned other elements of INSEAD that will really help me. So switch it up a bit. And yes, being spontaneous really helps, because if you practice your interview answers, people can tell by the structure of your sentences that it is a rehearsed answer. Because when you practice, when you're writing answers and when you're speaking the same thing, the way we speak the same information is different than how we write it. So if you try to write something and you will write like for example, and when you say like for example blah blah blah, they know you've rehearsed this shit. So when you say that, okay, I'll for instance, or I'll give you an example or something like that, that sounds more natural. Maybe my example is not the best, but I hope I'm able to convey the point that I'm trying to say. Written memorized answers always are very easy to recognize, and the people who are interviewing you are people who have years and years of experience. They're very capable in weeding out answers which are not natural. And you don't want to be caught in that situation, because then they'll cross question you and then you're stuck over there. So you don't want that. And yeah, I love talking to people. So that always helped me a bit. So try to develop that, go out, talk to people, warm up to others, and then interviews will go like a smooth sailing.
No, that's very, very good advice. I mean, just a aside, for preparation for this, for example, in this I had to prepare, right?
Right.
But my preparation was essentially the same. I thought about what are the things that I wanted to talk about. I didn't write down stuff. I thought about the things that I want to
Yeah.
talk to Harminder about, and I put those points down. I said that, okay, that's it. Now,
Mm.
howsoever they come out, that's fine. I trust the process. I trust the flow between the two people to
Yeah.
take care of everything else.
Yes.
Good, good. And how does it feel now? I mean, what are your plans now? You're gonna stay put with the job, I suppose, for a while before you kind of move on further for your academics.
Yes. So right now I'm trying to learn Spanish because NCR has a graduation requirement.
Uh,
So other than that, I'm just going around, I'm chilling. And of course, I have to figure out finances. So applying for loan is also in the plans. Not all fun and games, but yes, I'm having a lot of fun while doing these little things. And I'm connecting with a lot of people from the same school, trying to establish some friendships before, we start in campus. That's all. I just want to decompress completely before the 10 months of the program. That's the idea. And I would recommend everybody to do that because it's very important. MBA is a stressful program.
it is. I completely testify to that. I, in fact, tell people very, very strongly to spend time with their parents.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
because I mean, as it is, you're probably away from them, you're working,
Mm.
and after this, your opportunity to come and spend protracted periods of time with your folks would be very, very limited. So if you can steal a month or two, they would love it. You would love it. It would be a priceless value add to everyone, and you would treasure this for life.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Harminder, really, for talking to me. I could glean interesting insights that I could bring into my process to make it more enriching for the students that I would work with, and people who would listen to this, I'm sure, would get more interesting stuff to take home.